Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is all things Thursday, and of course because of the Christmas holidays and all the wonderful things I received for Christmas, we are doing swatching and review, well, not really review, first impressions of different products that I got for Christmas. So today's is a flip through of the Fairies coloring book. It's a grayscale coloring book by Janna Pro, Prosvirina. I cannot pronounce her last name. I am sorry. I just completely butchered it. Um, Absolutely gorgeous images in this book, and we will be doing a flip through of that. We will also be doing a swatching. Of course, I have already swatched them and sped it up for you so that you don't have to, watch me swatch for an hour. Of the 72 Lightfast, Derwent Lightfast, I do have the other 28 coming. However, they're not here. So we will do these ones now and we will add the 28 later. So let's start with the Fairies coloring book. We'll do our flip through of that. It's an absolutely adorable book. Some beautiful grayscale images of different fairies and magical guardians and moon sprites and pixies and all sorts of really, really cute things. So this is the front page. It tells you the artist, where you can find her work on her own website, copyright information, and then we have our adorable fairies. I love this one, but it could be because I really like coffee. A wonderful holly fairy. Once again, putting my hand in strategic places so that they cannot be screenshotted. It's gorgeous. Very lovely. Little sprites. Very, very nice. Some of the pictures are very, very soft. So they're a really light grayscale, which is fine. I don't mind a light grayscale or a dark grayscale. I like grayscale. And this one is just adorable. It's got a bunny. Little butterfly wings on her and a bunny. This one's fabulous as well. Wonderful moon fairy there. Oh, I love her hair. Little sewing fairy. Mushroom fairy. Just beautiful pictures. Just absolutely gorgeous pictures. This one's really lovely. It's got a cupcake. Oh, that's nice. The animals around her. And the plant. Just fantastic. This one reminds me a lot of Selena Finesh's work. She has a dragon fairy just almost the same as this. It's not the same, but it is almost the same. Wonder if she took what is the word I'm looking for? Influence from it. Very, very lovely. Beautiful little fairy sitting in what looks like a I'll have to look it up, but I think I know what tree that is. But of course, most of them are probably just fantasy trees, and Ooh, that's lovely. I think I have this fairy. My kids and my husband buy me little ornament fairies. And I think some of them are hers. Because I'm pretty sure I have the one with the frog. She's pretty. Absolutely beautiful. Another wonderful little fairy with a little acorn hat. Another little mushroom fairy. Oh, I know what those kind of flowers are. They resemble bleeding hearts, but they're not quite bleeding hearts. And the book fairy. And that lovely lilac fairy there. Teacup. Another hydrangea fairy. Ooh, Valentine's Day fairy. Make sure that I'm in screen here for you. Wonderful spring fairy. Lovely summer fairy. Some of them look like little pinup girls. And this is a musical fairy. This one is sideways, so it goes this way. She's beautiful. Another one goes this way. She's got all the dandelions ready to blow their seeds there. And that is the last page of these wonderful fairies. So this book is available on Amazon. And I thank the person that sent me this book very, very much. I do appreciate it, and I just love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So this is actually one of the pictures that is in the book, and this is how the artist has colored it, which is awesome. All right, so that is Fairies Coloring Book in grayscale. It has flower fairies, playful pixies, mystical moon sprites, and magical guardians of the forest. By Janna Prosvirina. Prosvirina. I cannot pronounce the name. However, wonderful artist. And of course, on the back has all of your different fairies that are listed in the book. And we may, if we have time, color the small little fairy here on the front cover. All right, so we're going to put that to the side. Let's take a look at the Derwent Lightfast. So once again, my box came a little dented, but that's okay. The pencils inside were not damaged at all. And of course, I'm not going to keep them in the box anyway, so I'm not too concerned about the dent on the box since the pencils were not damaged. So it's dented down here a little bit, which makes it hard for it to seal up, but that's okay. Put that aside. And of course, on the inside of the lid has your information here. Let's see if we can find it in English. No. So, with heritage dating back to 1832, Derwent's innovation comes from deep understanding of the needs and requirements of artists. Perfecting the art of pencil manufacturing in the Lake District for generations, our wide range of pencils is synonymous with quality and craftsmanship. Artistry is threaded through the core of each Derwent product to deliver world-class artist material at every stage of the creative journey. So, absolutely a wonderful information there, also in all different languages. So, of course, everybody can understand it. On the front of it, it does state that they are 100% Lightfast oil-based colored pencils. Professional quality, and of course in different languages. So let's pop this back on and take a look at the back. Hopefully that stays on well enough that I can flip it over. And on the back it says pretty much the same thing. It does have the derwentart.com information there as well. The illustration on the front of the book of the package and who made that. These are made in Britain. Okay, so other than that, it's pretty much all the same information as is inside the tin. The package itself came with a pamphlet that does tell you all 100 colors. It also tells you different hints on layering, mixing, blending, the different pressures that you should use with this pencil. Of course, with it being an oil-based pencil, of course, light pressure and building those layers is the best way to use them. Tells you their summary of their ASTM testing. And then, of course, goes through all of the colors. And then in different languages. So good information to read, to understand your Lightfast ratings, as well as the way to use these pencils. So let's take a look at the pencils, because they're pretty. Alright, so as with all of Derwent's artist grade products, there is a band that goes around the pencil in a wave pattern throughout the box. These ones have a dark band. I have seen light bands, I've seen red bands, I've seen all different colored bands, and with each different product, the band changes color. So with this product, it is a dark green, almost black color. Good selection of colors. Of course, I have already swatched these, so I know a little bit more about the range of colors that are in there. They are a wood barrel that is not coated in anything but a varnish. They do have a painted tip, a dip tip, so that you can see what colors the pencils are supposed to be. This one, of course, is dusky pink, and it has Made in Britain, the Derwent Lightfast, and the color name. Now, and this is the Lightfast rating. And of course, the Lightfast numbers, the 1, 2, and that sort of thing, are listed in the little pamphlet that you get on what that means for the Lightfast rating. To me, because I'm not a selling artist, the Lightfast rating to me it's good to know, but it's not a deal breaker for me. So yeah, so let's do a swatch. Of course, I have sped it up, so it's only going to be about 3 minutes. So grab your cup of coffee, sit back, relax. We'll swatch these babies up, and then we'll play with them a bit, do some testing of them, and maybe some coloring if we have time. All right, so sit back, relax, grab that cup of coffee, and it is a swatch time. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. So as you probably noticed on your swatch video, I'm going to move you in a little bit here so that it's not so blurry. Well, it's still blurry. The end area here showing a little blurry on the swatch, and that is because my printer decided that it was going to be naughty. So one thing I did notice with this set of colors is there's a lot of really dark colors in here. There's some dark greens, really dark, almost black greens here in the dirty greens, as well as here in the pine greens. The evergreen kind of colors is really dark as well. I'm not sure how I feel about that. We will see as we color. Um, I'm hoping with the set that I have coming in, there's a lot more of the bright, vibrant colors. If not, of course, like a lot of people have stated before, these work very well with the Caran d'Ache Luminance colored pencils. So they have some really nice colors in there. So it will balance each other out. There's also a lot of really light colors in here. These two here are very light. Um, uh, there's another one here. The pale peach is very light. Oyster is very light. Light aqua is very light. And so is cool gray. No, I don't think I colored that one. One sec. Look at it. So, yeah, cool gray isn't there, but there is quite a few of very light colors. Pale peach salmon is quite light as well, but it still has a good color. But the wheat and the champagne are very light colors, and so is the oyster, and the light aqua is very light as well. All colors that, oh, and the Arctic, that was the other one, is very light. Now, Arctic is a good color for coloring ice and that sort of thing, to give it that light blue hue to it, which is great. All right, so let's play with these. Let's get a couple of different tests going on. I haven't set up the tests yet because, you know, I'm behind in the game. So let's take our yellow. Let's take sun yellow. It's a nice bright yellow. So let's take this one and we'll color that in. Now with these, because they are an oil-based pencil, let's use them properly and not do a heavy hand. Let's layer that color up to get a good pigmentation on the page. I'm going to switch it over to the close-up camera here so you can see a little bit better of what I'm doing. Sorry about that. I had to blow away this stuff. Of course, I do have a brush and I will be brushing it off. So this is for our water test to see if they are water resistant or if they run with water. So there's the yellow. So we're going to put that yellow there because we're going to use it again here in a minute. And then we're going to take cherry red for our next one. Now, which one did I use? This one. trying to remember which one I used to keep it as close to the same as possible. Again, just putting a medium hand to it and building that color up. Going to get that all filled in, and then I'll move the Now nowhere on the package does it state that it's water resistant or anything like that. So, doing this test for, basically just to show whether or not you would want to use, say, your stickles on top of it, or your Spectrum Noir glitter pen, anything like that that is a water base. And then for our blue, I think we'll use deep blue, maybe. Where's my chart? Which one do we want to use? Yeah, let's use deep blue. It's a nice dark blue, so it's easily seen. All right, now we're just going to fill in the circle. So I hope everybody has had a wonderful week and enjoyed the live stream yesterday. I do have some giveaways going on Saturday, so I hope you guys can join me for that. Saturday we'll be going over the different things that may change in the channel, as well as, different things that I want to accomplish in the new year. So I hope you can all join me for that. It should be a lot of fun. And of course, I'm going to be coloring in one of Ruth Saunderson's coloring books, because I am going to be giving away some that are autographed. Autographed by the artist. Like, how cool is that? So that should be fun. So I hope that everybody will join me for that as well. All right, so we're going to do a smaller circle here next to this, and we'll test the smudge ability here. See if they smudge with movement from your hand. While I've got the tool there, I'll do this test as well. I'll fill this test in, I should say. Trying not to use a heavy hand to put down a really heavy layer, because you build the layers up. So if I put down too heavy of a layer, it's not an accurate test. Then if I sit there and color over it a few times and build that color up. And I want the test to be accurate, because if it's not accurate, it's not helpful. All right. So there we have our smudge test as well. Take our brush and make sure that there's no extra bits there that we're going to be rubbing off. So let's grab our water brush and we'll test the water. And the yellow doesn't seem to move. Neither does the red. And the red is the one that usually moves, either red or blue. And the blue doesn't seem to move either. So they are water resistant. So you can definitely use your water. Ooh, they do smudge though. So until you have it burnished, make sure that you do not rub your hands hard across it. So let's check. As you can see, they're quite smudgy there. So I'll do an area here right below it. It's a horrible circle. I'm not very good. And then I'm going to take my blender stick here, and we're going to blend it in, and then we'll dust it off, and then we'll see if it still pulls. So as you can see, it doesn't pull nearly as much color once you have it burnished with either your Caran d'Ache blender stick, or let's try with the Derwent blender pencil as well. The Caran d'Ache does have a heavy wax base to it, so when you burnish with it or you blend with it, it protects your area. So I'm going to sharpen this because it's not sharp and has a bit of blue stuck to it from yesterday. I'll sharpen it up, wipe any blue off of it. All right. Make sure that we get the whole area. And brush it off. Make sure that we've got all the remnants removed. And it stops it from moving as well. So either the Caran d'Ache blender stick, which is the bright stick, or the Derwent blender, both eliminate that smudge. And that will also work on other pencils as well, not just the Derwents. All right, so let's do our progression here. Let me grab a pencil so I can draw the lines. So we're going to do a color progression as well as the rainbow progression. So this is the, oh, what is it called? Gradient. There we go. So we've got our gradient blend, and then we've got our rainbow blend. All right, so let's do our gradient blend. And I think we're going to do that with some blues. So I've got a light, a medium, and the dark is already out. So hopefully that'll work. So let's see if they will gradient. So of course, with them being an oil base, build that color up. Make sure you leave a tail. Should take about 5 layers, 5 good layers, to get a good solid color. And then we'll take our medium and we'll go right into the dark there. thin that dark out just a little bit, because I think I took over too much of it with the medium. And then go into it with the light. Once again, just going over it until you get that color build up that you want. I'm not putting any pressure on the pencil. I'm letting the pencil do the work. Like that. Now, if you find that you have a bit of line going on there, you can definitely eliminate that just by taking your blender pencil hopefully. It didn't seem to eliminate it too well. I have to push a little bit harder. So blending it with the blender pencil does bring that gradient into a good gradient level. Like that. So you can definitely see the dark going into the medium, going into the light. Now we need my brush. Where did I just put that? Oh, right in front of my nose. So there's our gradient in a blue gradient going from our dark, medium, and light. And of course, with the light going over top of the medium, created another grade there, as well as the medium going over top of the dark caused a grade there, which is exactly what you want to see. So let's do our rainbow. So let's start with our red. I think I'm going to use the sapphire for this one, just so that we can see that green a little bit. So we're going to start with the red. Make sure that we get a good level. Bringing that tail out. Now you don't want to, make the tail too dark, but you do want to cover up as much of the white spot as you can. Otherwise the yellow will cling to that white spot and look more yellow than orange. And you won't get a good blend. So I'm just going through this area until I get a good deep red. And then we're going to take our yellow and we're going to go into our red. Bring it out. And we'll put a tail on it. There's our yellow. And then we'll put our blue into the tail of the yellow. Creating that green. Of course, the darker the blue, the darker the green is going to be. That's why I chose a medium blue so that you can actually see the green. The lighter the blue, the lighter the green. Now, if you find that you're not satisfied with how bright those colors are, you can of course go back over them with your yellow. Try not to drag it into the yellow. And just add a little bit more of the yellow. So as you can see, it definitely goes red into orange when you add the yellow. Yellow over top of the blue gives a green, which is a fantastic rainbow effect there. So now we already know that we can blend it with a blender pencil. Let's see if we can blend with the blender pen. So let's take our blue. Let's do a dark blue this time. So this one is deep blue. And I'm going to put down a couple of layers, but I'm going to leave a bunch of white spot. And we're going to see if the blender pen will take that white spot away, creating a soft, smooth area. So as you can see, there's still quite a bit of white spot there. And we've got our Finesse colored pencil blender pen. Now it does state that this is made to work with wax-based pencils, but so far using it on several other oil-based pencils, it seems to work just fine. It does have a slight odor, so I do believe that it has alcohol in it. It will stain your pen a little bit. Just scribble it off and it won't affect the next blend. So it did quite well. It did fill in most of that white spot and it did smooth that blend right out. So it does lighten the color a little bit, so be careful of that. All right, so those are our test results. I'll switch you back over to the main camera here. So no movement with water, which is awesome. There is a smudge movement, so make sure that you burnish or you blend your pigments before you start coloring another area. Otherwise, if you are rubbing your hand up against it or across it while you're coloring a different area, you may end up with some smudging. Now, I did push fairly hard on top of those, so as long as you're not going like this, you may be fine. But just for the safe thing to do, make sure that you go over with a blending pencil. We do get a gradient from our dark, medium, and light, as well as a rainbow from our red, orange, yellow, green, and blue, which is awesome. We did blend this with a blender pencil, with the Derwent blender pencil, and it did fantastically. Took away all the white spot as well as combined the colors to create that gradient. And we also blended here with our Finesse blender pen, and even though it did take the color down a little bit, it did blend it and move that pigment around to get it to where you wanted it to be. So the only test that it did not pass with flying colors is the smudge test. So it does smudge. The best thing to be aware of with a pencil that smudges is when you're coloring over top of it or your hand is over top of it, either put a piece of paper down or blend it, because I blended both of these, and after I blended them with both the Caran d'Ache blender stick as well as the Derwent blender pencil, the smudge no longer happened. So you can either blend it or be careful going over top of it. All right, so let's see, how much time do we have? We've got a little bit of time. So let's color a little bit of this fairy. And we're going to color this one here. So I'm going to grab these pencils and switch you over to the close-up camera. And move you around a little bit. I think I'm going to zoom that out just a touch because it's zoomed in quite far. There we go. Zoom you out a little bit. And now we're going to move my coffee because it's in the way. And we'll put something on top of the page here so that it'll get held down better because it's flopping up on me. All right, so let's color this wonderful little fairy. We're going to start with the butterfly here. And we're going to just put in some red into the wings. I know typically these dark areas are black on this type of butterfly, but I'm doing it red. I want it red. When I go over it with the yellow, because I'm leaving tails, that tail area will go orange, which is awesome. All right. Do the same thing over here. And unfortunately, my eyesight's not all that great, so I'm not seeing the body too well. So we're going to take the wheat and we're going to color the body in. And then we're going to take our yellow. The one thing I don't like about light grayscale is sometimes it's hard to see the details because they're so grayed out, so light. So it makes it hard to see what you're coloring. Alright. And there's our little butterfly. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of the red here. Now that I can see the details a little bit more. That's a nice butterfly. And of course I could have done this in purples as well. Or blacks and yellows would have worked as well. I just like the red to orange to yellow. It just lights up the page. Alright, so we're going to do her. Let's do her wings as well. We're going to do her wings in soft purples. So we're going to use heather and wild lavender on her wings. So I'm going to use the wild lavender here. Just building that color up. Making sure that I don't get any hair, because she has hair everywhere. Such a pretty book. I love fairies. I should have thought about it and grabbed the fairy that I have in the bedroom. I have a little shelf that has all my fairies and unicorns on it, because the kids give me fairies and unicorns for Christmas. They didn't this year. I think my oldest son got deterred from it last year when he bought me one that he had already bought me the year before. But it's a pretty one, so it's perfectly fine to me. I don't mind having two of them. And the fact that he thought about it and, found something that he knew was in my preferred collection or collectible is awesome. Most boys, have a tendency to not pay attention to that sort of thing. I know my youngest doesn't. Pays very little attention to it. But he's a typical boy's boy. And I know her hair is down there somewhere, so. All right, now we're going to go in with the heather, which is a lighter color. Now, also you can do this in the opposite direction and go over it with your light color first and add to it with your dark color. And I know a lot of artists do that. I prefer to do it this way because then my darker lines aren't covered up by the light color, especially with a light grayscale like this, where it's hard to see where things are. I tend to go with the dark edges and fill in that dark lineage first so that I don't lose it into the lighter tones and colors. This palette is very muted. There's, other than your yellows and your reds, the pinks are very soft pinks. There is no shocking pink or anything like that. It's a very muted palette when it comes to your pinks and your purples, which is, fine as well. I like to have a good shocking pink every once in a while, but that's okay too. All right, so we're going to go over to this side. And we're going to fill this in. Once again, I'm using the wild lavender I've wanted this set for quite some time. I see people coloring with it. People such as Appetite for Color, which is Tony, and Amazon Tammy, and a few others that I watch. And they just do gorgeous, gorgeous things with them. So they are a bit of a learning curve, though. They're definitely a color palette that I'm not used to. Not one that I hate. I'm just not used to the color palette. I'm used to those really vibrant shades and tones. But on grayscale, they work really nice. They're just building that color up really, really nicely. Definitely not a squish on the page kind of pencil. Definitely one that you have to build that color up. But they do blend together really nicely. Losing a couple of areas there because I'm going over it with the light pencil without putting the dark in. Didn't put enough of the dark in to maintain that color. So I'm just putting a little bit more in. Right over top, and that's why you do light layers. You can build those layers together and blend them together really nicely. Or you can just build one layer at a time and still they blend together quite nicely as long as you overlap a little bit. Add some more of this purple down here. And like I said, these are a very muted palette. I don't know exactly what pencils are in the other set that's coming because I haven't got them yet, obviously. I do know that they're where they are in the scale, but I don't know exactly what colors they would be on the page because I haven't played with them yet. But as soon as they come in, I will be doing addition to this video with the colors that do come in. I'll be adding them to the swatch chart. And there we have her wings. I think I'm just going to put one more little layer of this light purple on there. And there's her wings. And let's put these back. And let's grab, let's see, what do we have here for pink? Not a whole lot for pink. So I think we'll do deep purple and dusky pink. So there's our dusky pink. I do apologize. It seems somebody is calling me. What about deep rose? Yeah, deep rose. So deep rose and dusky pink. And we'll do her outfit here with that. Going into the dark areas with the deep rose. There we go. Now, because it's such a small area, you have to be a little bit careful. Usually I would sharpen my pencil a lot sharper to get into those areas a little bit better. But I'm a little afraid to because I don't want to sharpen away all my pencil. But I probably will end up sharpening them to a tight point because that's just the way I prefer my pencils. There are some that require a nice blunt point, and those are usually a wax based, but just going to bring that down a little bit. And now, of course, I can't see very well here, so it's the only thing about little tiny pictures. I have trouble seeing what they are, where they are. All right. Now the dusky pink mixed in with this color is making a very lovely pink color. So. Very nice color together. And we'll clean up our mess here a little bit. And then we'll go over it once again, blending it into that dusky pink. Like so. And then we'll take our blender pencil, just because I'm not sure I like the way that's sitting on that. Now, most times when you are working with a grayscale, It's best not to use a blender pencil unless you know that you've got enough pencil on there. And then even if you do have a lot of pencil on there, you may bring that gray up. So be very, very gentle with your blender pencil. Make sure that you don't press too hard, that you're just moving the pigment around, you're not lifting it all up, because otherwise you may pull that gray from the grayscale into your picture, and you don't want to do that. Yeah, I think that's all right. Okay, so let's do some greens on the leaves, and then I think we're going to call it a day. So let's take, we'll take grass green and a little bit of this one, I think. Oh, that's a little too dark. I think vivid green. So we'll take our vivid green and into our shadow areas here. Take our lighter green, because this is mostly that dark green. So we're just going to put our lighter green in there first. And then we'll fill it in. And I think we'll go over it with some yellow, just to bring out a little bit of that yellow color to the green. Let's finish this part here off. Make sure that we have some lighter green in there. There we go. And then we're going to take our vivid green again. We're just going to fill it in. Building that color up, because ivy leaves, of course, are usually a fairly dark green. This one has little hidden things. Just notice there's a little key there. It's kind of cool. And then we'll go back over it with this one. Blend it together. I'm going to experiment with this a little bit. And come through here with the yellow into the veins of the leaf, because they're a little bit easier to see on this one. And then we'll go over it with our vivid green. stands out a lot better than the green. Sometimes going over things with a lighter color, especially when it's something that's going to get covered up with a dark color, such as the veins to the leaf there. It's easier to work that color in to eliminate that. Being something that disappears. So you can either do that with the whites, with your yellows, with your pinks, that sort of thing, especially if you're going to be using a dark, dark, dark color. That is going to basically take it over. If you're going to be using a light color, it will stand out more. But if you're going to be using a really dark color, I find it just takes it over and eliminates it completely. So you can definitely enhance it first and then go over it, because the dark colors will not take over the light color. But it will fill in those white areas really quickly, and then you won't be able to see where they are. All right. So there's a couple of ivy leaves done, and of course a butterfly. And her wings. Do this one here as well. Try not to color the butterfly. So now I'm using the grass green, because the coloring, the grayscale on this says that it's a lighter leaf than these ones here. So we'll use it in lighter green in the lighter areas, where over here it said it was darker. So just going over it and over it and over it until you have the color built and the gray covered. So with grayscale, one of the main things that you're trying to do is build color over top of that grayscale and have that grayscale show you where the colors are supposed to be. Now, a lot of people use the grayscale as their shadow, which is perfectly fine. That is not a horrible thing. I personally use the grayscale to show me where the shadows are and utilize the shadow colors for those areas. So, for example, this leaf here, the grayscale itself has told me that this area here is shadowed. Of course, I already know that because she's got her leg over it, so I know there's a shadow there. And of course, because it's a leaf, it's going to be green. So you use a darker green in the areas that the shadow is being shown to you, and then a lighter green for the rest of the area that the grayscale is still there. It's still a gray color, but it's not a dark gray color. It's a medium gray color. So you go in with your medium colors on a medium gray color. On a light gray color, such as here or in the veins of these leaves, you use a lighter color, if that makes sense. All right, so we've gotten her leaves and her butterfly and her wings done. We'll quickly do her, and we have her outfit done. So we'll quickly do her stockings. Now with her stockings, I'm just very gently going over the areas that are the medium gray, because that's where our light's going to be. So we have a light coming down her leg here. Now I can fill that in and go over those areas with white. But in order to maintain that darker area, it's just easier just to go over that with a light layer and then come back in and darken up your dark areas. Like so. Of course, letting the grayscale dictate where you're heavier in your color than where you're lighter. Alright, now we're going to take our dusky rose. And then we have her stockings matching. Our little outfit. Now we're going to take our white and we're going to fill in those shadowy areas, blending those colors in without eliminating the color, just blending it in with the white, which still gives you that visual. Like so. Alright, so that is as far as we're going to go today. We've gone an hour and a half already, so I think that's as far as we're going to go. I'm going to switch you over to the main camera here so you can see what we've done so far. Of course, I will finish this off and I will post how it looks on the community tab. So this is the Fairies coloring book, a grayscale coloring book by Janna Prosvirina from jannafairyart.com. And of course, this is available on Amazon. The flip through is, of course, done earlier in the video. We have completed some of it with our Derwent Lightfast colored pencils. Of course, the Derwent Lightfast have gone through the rigmarole and have a wonderful set of pencils. There are some missing from my set because I don't have all 100 of them. When I do get the other 28 in, I will be continuing and filling in the rest of this swatch. They do pass the water test, so they are not, they don't break down with water. They did blend very nicely with the gradient blend as well as with a blender pencil. They blended just fine with the blender pen. However, the blender pen does lift some of the color so that it does look a little bit lighter. Did a rainbow blend perfectly. No problems or issues there. The only issue that I did find is they do smudge. So when you are coloring with them, please, either blend or burnish your area before you start rubbing your hand over top of it, or put a page underneath your hand or a glove, something that is going to keep your hand from rubbing your pigment around. They are a much darker color palette than I'm used to. They do have a lot of really dark shades, a lot of really extremely light shades and extremely dark shades. So we have some really, really light shades here, and then some really, really dark shades here, 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 here. So there is a, without those other colors, to me it looks a little unbalanced, but it's not a complete set yet. So once I get that completed set together, I'm hoping it will be a little bit more balanced. Derwent products have always been quite dark in their pigmentation, so it's definitely a normal color palette for them. But all in all, it's a builder pencil. Make sure that you layer, layer, layer. It is an oil-based pencil and it reacts like an oil-based pencil. The more layers you put down, the higher the pigmentation is going to be. The brighter or more in-depth that color is going to be. If you do use a heavy hand, you will find that you are only going to get 1 or 2 layers before the tooth of your paper is gone. They do blend together quite nicely, and they do color quite well. So like I said, I completed this little lady's outfit and her wings and her butterfly and some uh, ivy leaves there without any issues. They do cover up grayscale beautifully. Um, yeah, a lovely first impression of the Derwent Lightfast. I have seen other people use them, and I have seen other people use them in correspondence with the Caran d'Ache Luminance. So I will try that as well. I do have the Caran d'Ache Luminance, and I will put them together and see if I can combine them and make them into a perfect set. Once the other 28 come in, I will continue another video finishing off this arrangement, and then we will color some of the pictures on the swatch sheet so that we have a good reference of how they color. Until then, and until tomorrow, where we have another set of colored pencils to swatch and get our first impressions of, and of course, another book to do a flip through of. Until then, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to join us over on Facebook, just fill out the application form and somebody will get you in there as soon as possible. And yeah, of course, if you want to support the channel, you can, of course, join our memberships. Our memberships are, of course, in the join button below. There's unicorns, mermaids, and fairies is our different tiers of availability. And that's if you want to financially support the channel. If you don't want to financially, or you can't financially support the channel, you can definitely support us in the best way possible by hitting that like button. And of course, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the video and, any things that you may want to see in the future. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Every subscriber helps me out by telling me that my content is something that people are wanting to see, which is awesome. I enjoy spending time with each and every one of you, and of course, as always, and will always be, I want you all to please relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, which will be, of course, tomorrow. Until then, bye bye for now.